Hello and welcome to Dinis Guarda YouTube podcast series powered by citiesabc.com and openbusinesscouncil.org. We are here once again to profile some of the leading thought leaders and personalities in the world that are pushing the boundaries and especially making us think about the present, the past and the future, and especially how we can actually use these ideas, this innovation to make our lives better, but as well to understand better our present and how we can actually better write the narratives of the future.
And today I welcome to our series Dr. Yıldız Tuğba Kara, that is the president of Society 5.0 Institute. Dr. Kara is a social entrepreneur and a senior international political economy expert. She is the current founder and president of the London-based Society 5.0 Institute, and she has a fascinating career that includes pivotal roles as a trade expert at the Ministry of Economy of Turkey, and also represented the Istanbul Chamber of Industry in the national and international arena. Dr. Kara is a master in science and international political economy from the London School of Economics and Political Science, and a PhD in the European Union and International Economic Relations from Ankara University. And she's been active in developing digital and sustainable business strategies for next generation enterprises. As the founder of the London-based Society 5.0, she leads the platform and the institute as a way of looking at best practice examples at the international level regarding the vision of Society 5.0 that represents an holistic digital transformation approach that offers compliance with the Society 5.0 principles that we're going to be discussing in this interview. And in terms of her achievements, she's the author of the book Regional Trade Agreements, Complexity and Turkey in the Turkish language that discusses policy options for Turkey, which may be significantly affected by the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnerships initiative. And she's been as well working and looking at different institutions and trade corridors between both Turkey and UK and Turkey and Japan and so different things. And she's been as well publishing actively in different international publications, especially in the areas of sustainability, women empowerment, and on various platforms, including WISE TV, Protocol, Journal, Riyadh Daily News, and World SME Forum, and International Economic Affairs Journal, just to mention a few. So I'm quite excited to welcome Dr. Kara to this series and talk about personality, her career, and the Society 5.0. Welcome to our series, Dr. Kara.
Thank you, Dinis. Thank you for having me in your program. I'm following it with great enthusiasm, and I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you. And thank you for the introduction as well.
Thank you. No, it's a fantastic high profile as well. And one of the things as well, you have one of the certificates from the University of Cambridge and the strategies for digital transformation business in the new era, which is a topic very important. So I want to start by a bit of an introduction of yours, because you are a citizen of the world from Turkey to UK and a lot of different areas, but as well, you have a strong both academic and business. And I think especially, I think it's the first Turkey person that I've been interviewing, 200 people. No, actually the second, but I love Turkey. And I would like to understand your background, because of course, Turkey has been one of the, I would say, the biggest empires in history, first of all. But at the same time, it is a very country that is in the epicenter of Europe, Central Asia, and the rest of things. And of course, in terms of education, you have this kind of fantastic background, academic, and as well business. So I would like to understand the person and the background.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, I mean, you gave most of the information about my background, but I will try to summarize some of the highlights. I mean, as you mentioned, I'm a London-based social entrepreneur working on Society 5.0 for nearly 6 years. I started this social enterprise back in Istanbul as an NGO, a think tank that work on the best practices of Society 5.0, believing in the importance of this vision for the developing countries especially. And then for the last 2.5 years, we are continuing our work in London as a social enterprise. We are providing consultancy services to the companies. We are helping them to develop their own digital transformation roadmap with the holistic approach this Society 5.0 vision brings. And we are promoting this Japanese concept in order to promote sustainable development goals. And as you mentioned, I'm a senior trade specialist with nearly 20 years of experience working on international trade, project management, business sustainability management in public and private institutions and international NGOs. After I completed my public sector chapter of my career, I moved to private sector, and I worked in one of the biggest international cross-border digital commerce platforms, the second biggest after Alibaba in China, as their EMEA business development director. It was a fantastic opportunity to learn more about the importance of platform economies. So I can relate with your work in terms of this Open Business Council platform. So, and later on, I was full of project ideas, and I decided to work as a social entrepreneur and started this Society 5.0 Institute with a group of professionals who specialized in digital transformation, futurism, the philosophy of science and emerging technologies to analyze the best practices all around the world and develop policy recommendations and carry out some international projects. So I'm happy to be able to discuss this issue with you, because I know that you are working hard on this issue as well, the Society 5.0. I'm following up your work on this issue as well. So I can summarize my career like this.
So one of the areas that is, for me, quite fascinating in your profile is that you have a fantastic profile in the academic side and as well on the business side. One of the things I want to understand is, can you tell us when you start working between the two worlds? Because normally people stay just on the academic or just on the business. Very few people mix those. So I would like to understand from your education and when you start putting the two things working together.
Thank you for your kind comments, Dinis. I think I'm passionate about reading, writing, analyzing difficult concepts and trying to make them easily digestible content. So since I'm passionate about education, I couldn't leave academics, and I'm still continuing giving lectures, as visiting lectures at some universities, and share my experience on trade, international political economy, business sustainable management. The maybe turning point was my master's degree at London School of Economics, where I studied international political economy, because after I completed my master's degree, and I also studied there with British Council Turing Scholarship as for my pre-doc studies. After I completed my studies at London School of Economics, I started searching on techno-geopolitics and what we call geoeconomics. I focused on the relationship between technology, societies, and international relations. And I read a lot about the future of professions and how communities would adapt to today's lightning speed technological developments. And I realized that there is a massive gap between the pace of technological developments and social adaptation to these developments. So, and I also realized that efforts to manage or slow down globalization or this increasing trade protectionism is closely related with this race between race among nations to catch up with this pace and to adapt to this technological change. Then I started to work on this smart society implementations with a particular focus on Japanese concept of Society 5.0. And I established this Society 5.0 Institute just a year after the Japanese government launched this concept. I established this institute in August 2017. So that's how I mean, my academic studies supported my career supported my academic studies. I just built the bridge between them in that way. I can say that.
Wow, it's fascinating, and it's actually quite complex as well, because the two areas and the two worlds sometimes don't work in the best way, with some exceptions, of course. So before we go to the concept of Society 5.0, which I would like to go in detail with you, because it's one of my areas and passion. So tell us a bit about Turkey. How is it studying Turkey and then studying UK? Because I think people, of course, Turkey has a massive history. Istanbul, Ankara. There's of course thousands of years of history, a lot of confluence between different worlds. But I would like to understand mostly from you studying in Turkey, which is still one of the top economies in the world, and as well in terms of population, and then coming to the UK and studying in the UK and starting these trade corridors. Let's put it that way.
Sure. I mean, you mentioned the trade corridors, so maybe I should first touch on the importance of trade corridors, because I know that you are deeply involved in this Open Business Council platform, which will include Turkey as well, I guess. And I believe that it will create a huge impact in terms of open trade corridors and cultural bridges. As you mentioned, I mean, I worked for a long time back in Turkey in the Turkish Ministry of Economy, and then one of the biggest chambers of industry, Istanbul Chamber of Industry. And meanwhile, I came to London to carry out my master's degree. And then, of course, I fell in love with London as well. And I always had a connection after my master's degree. And I mean, things developed in a way that bring me to here. But I mean, since I'm a foreign trade specialist, I'm very much interested in this trade corridors, which is a very relevant issue after this COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine. We better understood the importance of supply chain resilience and open trade corridors. And we suffered from increasing trade protectionism. We discussed the pros and cons of nearshoring and friendshoring. But luckily, the latest technologies such as AI, blockchain, and these platform economies enable us to establish traceable supply chains to ensure sustainable trade flows, which is very important. And adoption of traceability in supply chains through these platforms would ease the impact of similar shocks in the future and minimize supply chain disruptions. So I'm closely following up the Open Business Council initiative platform business you are involved in. And as I said, I think it's hugely important in terms of ensuring open trade corridors for all nations in the world. And also you mentioned the cultural bridges between Turkey and the UK, Japan and the other nations of the world. I know that, for example, India was the first country who has a memorandum of understanding with Japan on collaboration on Society 5.0. Now, United Kingdom has a special relationship with Japan on a Tech for Society, Tech for Sustainable Development Goals, which I can summarize as Society 5.0 in my terminology. So these kind of cultural bridges are very important because they are the principal enablers of Goal 17 of UN Sustainable Development Goals, which is a partnership for the goals. I mean, the dialogue, the cooperation, exchange of best practices, transfer of know-how is very important to achieve these complex and difficult sustainable development goals set by the UN. So both cultural bridges and open trade corridors are crucial today more than ever.
It's impressive as well. And I think, like you said, this is going to be more impactful, especially with everything happening as we speak. So let's go then right now to the concept of Society 5.0. I think it's a concept that you've been working for some time. I've been as well writing about it and as well discussing, but it's still not very well known. Like you said, it was generated in Japan, but I would like to hear from you a kind of description. How do you see the Society 5.0 concept and how you approach it as well on your work and your institute?
I will try to summarize this difficult concept. If, for example, you would ask me to summarize in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, what I would like to say would be, we can summarize it: tech for society and tech for SDGs, this Society 5.0 concept. And it particularly tries to answer the question how we can maximize the latest technologies, the benefits of these technologies, and avoid all potential risks. We need to have a coordinated effort to overcome social and economic problems we have. And we can use these digital technologies which give us a lending hand. So maybe today, with all these difficult questions like climate change, aging population, food security, increasing inequalities within and among nations, we need to hit 5 birds with 1 stone. And the Society 5.0 vision enables us to do that with its holistic approach to digital transformation. And another important thing is its motto, leaving no one behind. So inclusiveness and just transition is a very big and important component of this vision. As you also mentioned in your programs and speech, Society 5.0 vision aims to balance economic development with the resolution of social problems. And I would like to give, for example, the food security issue as an example. The world population is growing very fast, as we all know, and so it's food demand. But adverse effect of climate change limit our capability to increase our food production. And we also have another difficulty here, because we both need to increase the food production, but while doing that, we need to minimize our carbon footprint as well. So here, the latest technologies come to our rescue. We can do vertical farming in the city centers. We can use smart agricultural appliances to increase production efficiency. We can reduce our food waste with better supply chain management. We can do all these things thanks to the latest technologies. And instead of producing more meat, which is very costly to the environment, now we can produce cultured meat from stem cells, or we can prefer plant-based meat products, which are, to me, equally delicious and nutritious as regular meat, but their production is not that costly to the environment. So in summary, I mean, technology offers great opportunities to solve our socio-economic problems and to achieve sustainable development goals. But technology does not do it by itself. We need to manage the process with a vision like Society 5.0. We need to have this awareness of the potential problems. We need to make necessary regulations, giving everyone the same opportunities, and enable them so that no one is left behind. So Society 5.0 vision means this to me. I mean, managing the whole process with a vision and with a coordinated effort to make the best of this available technologies and also to limit their potential risks.
I completely agree, and that it's a big topic that I think is more important than ever, especially as technology becomes the driving factor of humanity. So I want to share an infographic with you and our audience. That is actually one of the things I did, and I want to ask you one question related on this, because when I talk about Society 5.0, I'll share the screen shortly, and our team put this more. We have always to look at the previous 4 societies, because of course the Society 5.0. So mostly, and of course this is a bit mixed between the concept of Japan and what you discussed, and as well some other concepts. So what I did here in this slide is a bridge between the concept of Society 5.0 and the 4 previous societies, and then the concept of the 4th industrial revolution that we have right now. So as an academic, one of the questions I would like to ask here, so when we talk about Society 5.0, which is the 21st century, we talk about, like you said, sustainable developing goals, sustainable circular economic society, and how we deal with robotics, augmented open AI, and singularity. And then, of course, we are at the same time the 4th industrial revolution, which is much more a concept related to technology, which is part of the World Economic Forum and has been discussed as well by the leadership. But previously, what is interesting is that if you see from the Society 1.0, this about the dawn of humans, to Society, I would say 2, that is 23,000 years before Christ. And then we have, of course, the end of the 19th century. So that means in the last 200 years, more or less, we had 3 society developments in history. So my question for you as an academic and researcher is that this Society 5.0 is actually a concept super important, but as well, it shows the velocity that we are right now as a society. And as well, our institutions are not prepared for this. I know that our institute is precisely to create awareness for this and educate on this, but I would like to see how you view these concepts, and especially the evolution, because for instance, the last Society 4.0 that you can describe was only like very recent. Okay, if you look at the 4th industrial revolution is the last 30 years or 20 years, let's put it that way. So this is kind of, in 20 years, we got actually probably more developments than actually in the last thousands of years. So I'd like to see how you see this, and especially one of the questions, and now this is more the academic part, probably I'll go more to your academic part, is the challenge I've been facing is that working with governments, and you mentioned about the Open Business Council, Cities ABC, and a lot of institutions, is that most of the people are still not understanding the web, and we are already in metaverse. So, and when it comes to Society 5.0, this actually takes us to discuss what is humanity, because we, for instance, Yuval, the writer from the Homo sapiens and a lot of different things, has been talking about the Homo Deus as well. So we are already positioned that in theory right now you can extend life and you can reboot humanity. So I would like to see how you see this, both from an academic and from a practical, because there's a huge need for education, and as well, are we actually going to prepare society? Because like you said, in terms of supply chain, we are right now dealing with things that are very basic when we have technology super advanced. So it's a paradox, and society definitely is not prepared for this. So I would like to hear your views on this.
Sure. I mean, Dinis, as you said, Society 5.0 vision is about future readiness of businesses, future readiness of societies, and future readiness of individuals. What are we trying to getting ready is actually not a future. We already started to live side by side with the artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities and robotics. They are already in employment, and they are going to revolutionize the employment in every sector. So it is about getting ready to work with and to live with robots, with AI and machine learning capabilities. So I mean, it's not a science fiction anymore. So it is an urgent issue for all societies, as you and I mean, we are trying to create awareness on the both importance of the issue and urgency. We need to act urgently to reskill and upskill the human capital we need to get ready for the future of the professions. And for our viewers, I would like to recommend this book called Globotics Upheaval by Richard Baldwin. He examined the issue of this robotization and future of employment, because there are arguments against saying that, okay, in all this society, where we are going to society 2.0, 3.0 and 4.0, always, I mean, there are new jobs created and some professions ended. It's not the end of the world, so we are going to adjust it again. But this adjustment won't be that smooth, maybe, as it was in the past, because we are talking about an artificial intelligence which is much more efficient than us. The robots will be doing some of the professions much better than the human beings. So meanwhile, I mentioned in the beginning of our program, there is a race among nations to get ready, because there is a vast gap between the pace of technological developments and the pace of societies being ready for that. So this gap creates the biggest problems. Of course, we will, as humanity, we will get adjusted to the new developments. But meanwhile, there will be lots of people who can lose their jobs, and who will experience economic poverty. So there may be some social unrest, some immigrations due to that. You know, the adverse effects of climate change mostly affect these disadvantaged groups. So, I mean, everything relates to each other. So it is definitely a very, very urgent issue. So all governments need to act very fast to get ready to the realities of this Society 5.0. I mean, to the future, we will live and work together with artificial intelligence. And of course, I mean, we will become more integrated with the robots as well in terms of our body. So it's an exciting near future that's waiting for us. And we should definitely be aware of the realities and get ready starting from today.
Yeah, that's a big thing right now to say. Like, so I want to touch right now. So where it comes the Society 5.0 Institute, because you created precisely to look at these things and to deal with these things. And like you said, I think there's a huge component of creating awareness, a component of education, but as well an active work, because it's humanity is complex. Okay, there's all this technology, but we are still very basic. We have different cultures, different credos, different ways of looking at work, more aggressive, less aggressive. And this is, I think, where reality is much more complex than sometimes technology, because technology reproduces reality. So I would like to see, from your experience with the Institute, and as well working with some trade corridors, and you mentioned as well working with ministers, with different governments, what would be like I don't know, a case study, something that you want to share with us that you think it's really relevant for people listening to us? Because I think the point is that this is so overwhelming, and most of people don't even understand what we're talking here. That's why I start this podcast series. But at the same time, we cannot stop it. It's going much faster than us.
The starting point for me was the fact that my home country, Turkey, has a huge young population. So it's a very dynamic, developing country. I realized that these latest technologies offer great opportunity for developing countries, what we called leapfrogging. I mean, to go much faster in the development stages. So these countries, if they utilize these technologies with an awareness, with a coordinated effort, with a vision, they can benefit from this process and they can leapfrog. But if they miss this opportunity, if they can't handle this process well, if they can't manage the process, and if they don't take the necessary steps like reskilling, upskilling their workforce, I mean, following up the regulations, following up what is going on in the world, and how they can utilize these technologies to create their own solutions. Because in Society 5.0, we are talking about a solution economy. I just thought about these things, and I realized that it is particularly important for developing countries like Turkey, which has a very dynamic and huge young population. I started this social enterprise and tried to make the concept known, create awareness, and started some action with international projects. I like giving the example of e-commerce because I worked on these issues. For example, since I worked in a Chinese digital e-commerce platform, I would like to give China as an example. As you know, China was a developing country, and it is one of the countries very effective in digital cross-border e-commerce. And they organized this so well. They just provide a solution for all the SMEs, where the SMEs only produce their products, and then this whole concept of specialized e-commerce zones handle the situation, handle the trade for them. Digital commerce gives great opportunities for women entrepreneurs, SMEs, and developing countries who generally find reaching foreign markets difficult because they lack financial resources, they lack expertise. So starting commerce, I mean foreign trade, starting foreign trade is difficult and costly for these groups. But for example, through this technology we have, it becomes very easy to start doing business. So it can be one of the examples how technology facilitate our goals. So for example, through these technologies now we can enhance access to affordable and clean energy. We can provide better health services. We can provide inclusive and equitable education for underserved communities. For example, I can attend digital strategies education from Columbia University, from United Kingdom, and from an poor country, some people can reach better education, better health services. So these technologies enable us to solve difficult problems, and they strengthen our hands. They enable us to achieve much more than we used to do before. So we shouldn't miss this opportunity. We should use it wisely. That's what Society 5.0 vision means to me, and I am doing my best to express it, explain it, and share this information as much as possible.
No, it is a fantastic work that requires a lot of persistence and is more important than ever. So one of the things that you have on the society50.org, actually for people listening to us, we'll put the links, but please look at the website and the blog and the different things that Dr. Kara has been doing. So one of the things you've been working on the Institute is solutions like how to increase your ESG impact and how to look at your business future-proof. So let's look at ESG and Society 5.0. So how do you see these two concepts that are right now critical for our society? And ESG is becoming like a benchmark for any business worldwide.
In today's economy, or I will call it Society 5.0 economy, ESG issues or sustainability in general is not something nice to have. I mean, we should revise our business model embedding sustainability in all the processes of our business model and proceed accordingly. Otherwise, we will have problems in every sense. It is very important for a number of perspectives. I mean, we have to contribute to the sustainable development goals. Our business's resilience and future preparedness is directly linked to the ESG performance of the company. So we, as the Society 5.0 Institute, we summarize the basic principles of Society 5.0 economy as data-driven growth, value-based, human-focused digital transformation, reskilling and upskilling of human capital, redesigning business model embedding sustainability, and updated corporate culture and organizational structure, and finally the leadership, of course. All these concepts should be revised and reformalized according to the today's and future needs. We are helping companies achieving this goal. In our website, the ESG impact part is related with the new project we are carrying out. So we are working on a platform. We will meet the ESG investment projects and the possible investors. So we are still working on that one, but we are actively providing consultancy services to all businesses with a questionnaire we prepared. So with our questionnaire, we are coaching the companies we are working with. Through these questions, they can see clearly what they need in terms of digital transformation. Because according to the Society 5.0 understanding, we need to look at digital transformation with a holistic approach, with a human-focused and value-based approach. And our questions directly aim to achieve this. With this questionnaire, companies can understand clearly what they need in terms of a holistic approach to their digital transformation, and they can prepare their own roadmap with this service.
That's fantastic. First of all, congratulations to that work, and it's really one of the things that I think is more important for any business worldwide. I speak for myself because there's a continued requirements to update ourselves, and these concepts are quite complex because you need to, on one end, to get results as a business, but then you need to make sure that you look at environmental issues, sustainability issues, governance, which is very, very critical, because if you have a team of 50 people or 20 or 10 or 1 million, it depends on how big a company, these challenges are very difficult. Different cultures have different interactions, different needs, different requirements. And actually, for me as a CEO and as an author, is always how we make the balance between the academic and the research and the practicality. So I want to go to this part of the practicality. So because you've been as well consulting companies, so what would be, from the experience that we have, and I know that you're very focused as well with women entrepreneurs and women in terms of business, which is an area that I'm very passionate as well. What would be, let's say, the things that you found, and probably some of the areas that you found that is really like where people are struggling? One or two areas that you feel that there's, okay, really these people don't. For instance, in my case, just as an example, when I speak about these concepts, I would say 99% of the business leaders, including very high profile, have no clue. They don't understand what is 4AR, they don't understand what is blockchain, and they struggle. It's very, very difficult. And even in big organizations, I'm not going to mention names, I have the cases of there's 2-3 people that understand these concepts, and then 99% just kind of go and, or they follow, or they kind of put, okay, let's the fear of missing, stuff like that. So if you could highlight on that, because I think it's a very important thing for people listening to us, is how we go from the theory to the practice, but as well, what are the things we can do now that can help us and take this?
I think your question has two aspects. One is related with the difference between Industry 4.0 and Society 5.0 concepts. I mean, we talked a lot about what digital transformation is during the Industry 4.0 discussions. And we talked about technologies that we can acquire as companies, and they will increase our efficiency. But these technologies were the expertise of our IT departments. And as you mentioned, the other people don't necessarily have to understand the specific technicalities. But in Society 5.0, especially after COVID-19, we realized that this digital transformation is not only about transformation our businesses, the way of are doing business through digital technologies, but it transformed every aspect of our life and our expectations from the employment, from our institutions, our way of living, our way of communicate. So now you need to revise your human resources strategy accordingly. Maybe you are trying to reach expertise from special platforms on specific talents. So, I mean, the main difference between these two concepts are Society 5.0 vision focus this digital transformation not as a from an IT perspective, but from the human perspective. I mean, all the individuals working in this organization. And it says that, for example, in our questionnaire, we also underline this. For example, when we revise our business models to embed sustainability in it, we gather all departments of the institution, the company. I mean, not only the IT department who is knowledgeable about specific technologies of digital transformation, but we get together with all the peoples working in that company to see what the problems are, what the needs are, what kind of, for example, data they have, what kind of value they can create from this data, what kind of additional data they need, how they can gather them in a healthy and comparable way, so on and so forth. I mean, as you said, I mean, digital literacy is important. We need to, it is the second part of the question, as far as I understand. We need to increase digital literacy for all of us. I mean, as Dr. Kara, I need to learn more about maybe Python or other programming things. I at least need a basic information to be able to talk about it. So increasing everyone's digital literacy, especially women, so that if we are talking about a gender gap, a digital gender divide, we need to upskill and reskill more women in STEM areas and in digital literacy issues. And when we figure out how we are going to proceed with digital transformation, we need to focus on the human capital and their needs, their perspectives, not only the IT department. I mean, this digital transformation issue shouldn't be limited only with the IT people, but all the employees of an organization should be interested in and should have a say on this new strategy of the company.
That is actually a very, very difficult task. I think this mostly touches change management. And change management is really, in the other days, about people, how we do this. And I think COVID accelerated digital transformation, but at the same time now we're coming back again, that it has to be face-to-face. So I remember that in COVID, I managed to do a couple of events even on this channel with ministers and different things, and now is much more, okay, you need to go face-to-face, although the transformation was much faster. So I'm conscious of your time as well, but I still want to touch one or two questions related with some of the things we discussed. So when we talk about Society 5.0 and it talks change management, how can we take this to the economies and especially to businesses? And I think now I'm talking more from you mentioned that you have a questionnaire, you mentioned that you have a consultancy for this, but let's look at kind of the steps. What would be the steps that you think? Because you're talking about the super intelligent humanity, but unfortunately, if you look at the geopolitics, intelligence is sometimes something that is not too much there. But at the same time, for instance, recently, one of the engineers of Google was saying that one of the AI chatbots of Google start asking questions that in the end of the day, Google, of course, said it was not that. So that means we have already some kind of singularity of sentient AI. So this is all happening as we speak, but we have, in one end, change management people, then we have geopoliticals and all the challenge, and then we have the super AI and super IT that you mentioned, that part is just going to continue. It's a bit exponential growth and exponential as well scalability. So it's a big question, but from a practicality, especially for businesses and for economies, how can we actually make sure that we change, starting with baby steps? Because I think we cannot just go and try to do everything at the same time.
Maybe we can use a framework. For example, at LSE, they taught us that three things should align to make great changes: interests, ideas, and institutions. So in terms of ideas, I think we are there. I mean, we don't discuss the importance of, for example, sustainable development goals or the urgency of dealing with climate change, because we already facing with the consequences of it, unfortunately, hurting our businesses as well. So ideas are there. We realize that we need to respond these sustainability issues. We need to find solutions. And we also realize that no government can achieve this alone. So we need to cooperate. However, of course, there's a race as well in terms of, I mean, geopolitics, techno-geopolitics. You know, there are tech wars. Everyone tries to develop some solutions, but we sometimes want to keep it to ourselves. Anyway, ideas are there. In terms of interests, we also realize that, for example, if we are looking from the business perspective, the main goal of a business is making profit, right? And although we call it people, profits, planet, and prosperity, still, I mean, as an entity, a company needs to make profit in order to continue its business. But what we say is that sustainability is not a luxury. If you need to really make to profit, and if you want to make your profit be sustainable, if you want to be successful, if you want to be competitive in this race, you need to take care of sustainability. You need to make a greater performance. So the main message we are trying to give as Society 5.0 Institute is that, because at first companies may be resistant to these issues. For example, oh, we are an SME, we have limited resources. I mean, we can't deal with the sustainability issues. But we give this main message that if you really want to be profitable in this time, you have to take care of it. You have to deal with the sustainability issues. So the interest is there as well, ideas, interest. Institutional part is a little bit confusing, because there's a alphabet soup of standards. There are a lot of important initiatives from a number of international organizations like United Nations, World Economic Forum, I mean, you name it, all international institutions, non-governmental organizations, private consultancy companies. They all are trying to set the standards to measure this ESG performance and to promote this issue. But it's a little bit complicated, like a spaghetti bowl of institutions and regulations. But it's good. I mean, I'm sure at some point some of these standards or regulations will be eliminated, and there will be convergence on some of these standards. So we are much closer to that institute ideas, institutes and interests alignment. But of course, it is difficult to carry out a coordinated effort like the Japanese example, because in Japanese case, we see that, for example, Japanese government go to big tech companies and they just give responsibility. For example, Toyota, you are going to do this. And for example, X company, you are going to, you need to develop a solution for that issue. And under their R&D departments, research and development departments, they opened Society 5.0 sub departments. And they, what they did is mission-oriented innovation. I mean, they tried to develop solutions. And they actually are successful on that. For example, Japan is #1 in caretaker robots. They developed very important solutions for aging society. And now, not only they solve their own problems, they can export and they can make money out of these solutions, because aging society is not a problem of Japan only, but also other countries as well, because our life expectancy is increasing. We are living longer. So yes, that can be an positive initiative for economies, seeing that both for companies and also countries, I mean, you can make a lot of money out of this solution economy. If you can utilize these technologies, you will benefit from it. But if you miss this chance, maybe your company will be closed. I mean, you will be out of this race. So it is in everyone's interest on working on these issues. I can say this as an answer.
Very inspiring, and I think we really need to take into this. So as a wrap up, let's say if we have, our audience is mostly people C-level, and from CEOs to directors of companies, and as well personalities from universities and different areas. So if we have like 3 things that you suggest for someone to look when it comes to the Society 5.0 and the things we've been discussing, what would be the 3 things that you would suggest? Because you touched a lot of different things, and I would like to make sure that one of the things I always try to do with my team and in this podcast is making sure that we take in actions for our day-to-day, because it's the only way we can change the world, at least change ourselves first. So like 3 things you would highlight to wrap up in terms of the concept of Society 5.0 and as well in your institute that you suggest.
The 3 things will be first, solution economy. If I were a CEO, I would think about what kind of solution I would bring as a company, or how I can increase, develop this solution. So I would focus on this first. With regard to sustainable development goals, since it is such a huge and complex issue, I wouldn't try to achieve everything and put a tick to all the issues in terms of ESG, but I would particularly focus on, for example, 2 or 3 main topics, make some improvement on them first, then with the layers on top of it in the near future. Second is reskilling and upskilling, starting from ourselves. We should be thinking about the future of our professions, how the things is going on, and how can we adapt ourselves to this change, or how can we improve our human capital in the company. And third is just to are live and profitable in a bigger society. So the society part of this ESG is very important. Giving back to people, giving back to our communities are very important. So I would invest in social issues, because that environment in the end would, feed us, will grow us. So the third thing would be how to contribute to the society we are living in. So I can summarize the three main things to start for our Society 5.0 journey like that.
Fantastic, and it's actually great, and we'll put this in writing because I think it's a great way to wrap up the interview. So as one last thing, so where can people find you? I think it's always good to know, and this YouTube is to promote as well great voices, great thought leaders, great researchers, and great personalities like it's your case. So if you could, we'll put all the links, but coming from you.
Thank you, Dinis. If someone wants to reach me, they can find me on LinkedIn, searching for Dr. Yıldız Tuğba Kurtuluş Kara. And of course, you mentioned our website, society50.org. So they can reach me through this. We also have a LinkedIn website for our institute, and also we are available on Instagram as well. Thank you for having me in this program and make my voice heard for a larger audience.
The pleasure is all ours, and fantastic insights. And I think for people listening to us, please read the Dr. Kara research and a lot of papers on this. I think this is a particularly important topic more than ever, especially the convergence between Society 5.0 and ESG. But as well, like she said, a lot of pragmatism is required. And I think we all need to get our hands into this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, Dinis. Thank you.